Hello, Golden State Warriors fan. We're back with an exclusive video bringing you the latest updates. First of all, subscribe to the channel and like the video. It's crucial for you to stay informed with the news daily. Without further ado, let's get to the news. Rumors have begun to swirl with an intensity that feels almost surreal, as if the entire basketball world suddenly leaned in to whisper the same curious secret. Stephen Curry might actually be preparing to walk away from the Warriors in 2026. The buzz started as a faint murmur, the kind of quiet speculation tossed around by insiders who speak in careful clues rather than blunt statements, but has grown into a wave powerful enough to shake even the most loyal fans. People close to the organization are tiptoeing around the subject, yet the energy inside the league is unmistakable. Something is shifting, something deep. Something that feels like the possible end of an era. Even the most optimistic voices are beginning to admit that where there is smoke, there might be a fire quietly warming beneath the surface. The narrative has been building over countless interviews, sideline glances, and small but telling reactions from within the franchise. Observers are noticing that Curry carries himself with a slightly heavier expression, as though he is quietly wrestling with a choice that could redefine not just his career, but the identity of the Warriors as a whole. It is not about dissatisfaction, at least not openly, but about introspection. Athletes of his caliber often reach a point where legacy meets reinvention, and those around him insist that he has been contemplating the bigger picture. The idea of writing a final historic chapter somewhere unexpected is starting to feel less like a wild theory and more like a genuine possibility sitting quietly on the horizon. Insiders who have spent years reading the emotional climate of locker rooms claim they feel a new kind of tension when Curry's future comes up. It is not the brittle tension of conflict, but the dense, thoughtful tension of transition. Those closest to him describe Curry as unusually reflective, almost philosophical in recent months, pondering what the next stage of his journey might look like. More than one person suggests that he is not simply considering a move, but rather questioning the weight of legacy and the thrill of fresh challenges. The Warriors, of course, remain publicly committed to the idea of keeping him forever, but their smiles have started to crack ever so slightly at the edges, revealing a subtle fear that the inevitable may be approaching. The basketball community has responded with a mix of disbelief and quiet acceptance. On one hand, it is almost unimaginable to picture Curry in anything other than that familiar Warriors jersey, the one that has become practically synonymous with his name. On the other hand, fans understand that legends sometimes seek a final reinvention, an emotional reset, or a new environment that reignites their competitive fire. Some analysts claim to have spotted subtle signs in his interactions with teammates, coaches, and even longtime staff members, small signals that he may be preparing them emotionally for a farewell. Whether these observations are accurate or simply products of rumor-driven imagination, they have fueled conversations everywhere from barbershops to major sports talk shows. The Warriors organization, always poised and media-savvy, continues to brush aside speculation with carefully crafted answers that neither confirm nor deny anything. Their public stance is full of admiration and loyalty, but behind the scenes there is a growing sense that they are bracing for a scenario they prayed would never come. Executives appear to be quietly evaluating future strategies, backup plans, and long-term projections, not because they want Curry to leave, but because responsible leadership demands preparation. Fans are left trying to interpret every micro-gesture from every press conference, every sideline shot, every social media post that might hint at the superstar's state of mind. Yet nothing compares to the weight of the silence coming from Curry himself. That silence is what keeps these rumors alive, what transforms a simple whisper into an emotional storm. He has not shut down the speculation, and that alone has sparked deeper questions. People close to him say he is simply taking his time, reflecting deeply on what matters to him beyond basketball, beyond trophies, beyond the familiar routines of the franchise he has called home for so many years. If he does walk away in 2026, it will not be out of frustration, but out of evolution. And that is what makes the entire situation feel so unpredictable, so captivating, and so unbelievably real. What truly ignited the second wave of speculation was the way league insiders began describing Curry's recent off-court behavior. They say he has been openly curious about opportunities that extend far beyond traditional franchise roles, hinting at ambitions that could lead him to new markets, new partnerships, or even new basketball philosophies. The idea of him stepping into a fresh environment, not just as a player but as a visionary leader, has suddenly turned from pure fantasy into a scenario that executives across the league are quietly preparing for. Conversations behind closed doors are happening more often, more urgently, and with an undeniable sense of possibility. Meanwhile, fan communities have erupted with theories about what might be calling Curry away from the Warriors. Some believe he is seeking a different basketball challenge, something that sparks the same creative fire that defined his early years. Others insist that the motivation could be personal, tied to lifestyle changes or new ventures that require him to be rooted somewhere else. The emotional stakes are incredibly high, not just for the franchise but for the identity of the league itself, because Curry is not merely a player. He's a cultural phenomenon whose influence extends far beyond the court. The idea of him reshaping another team's destiny has fueled endless debates across every corner of the basketball world. Within the organization, the mood is described as cautiously respectful. Staff members acknowledge the possibility of a departure without outright admitting fear. They know that icons eventually face crossroads, and they seem committed to supporting Curry through whatever decision he makes, even if it leads him away from the spotlight of the Warriors brand. Their hope, of course, is that he stays, but they are preparing emotionally for the bittersweet reality that legends sometimes embrace new horizons for reasons that transcend simple loyalty. People who have worked alongside him for years say they feel a gentle shift, a soft emotional distance that suggests he is thinking farther ahead than usual. Analysts on major platforms have jumped into the conversation with their own interpretations, often leaning into dramatic storytelling because the situation practically invites it. They dissect every interview, every facial expression, every vague comment from league insiders, weaving narratives that feel simultaneously exaggerated and strangely plausible. Some analysts describe the potential departure as a seismic event waiting to happen, one that could reshape the competitive landscape of the entire league. Others warn fans not to panic, insisting that Curry's loyalty has always been strong and that transitions of this magnitude cannot be predicted through body language alone. Yet the most captivating element of this entire rumor storm is the emotional response from fans. They are torn between denial and acceptance, between hoping that their hero remains with the franchise forever and understanding that careers evolve in unpredictable ways. The thought of Curry stepping into a completely different environment feels almost unreal, like a storyline pulled from a dramatic sports film rather than something grounded in reality. Still, the possibility grows louder each day, resonating through comment sections, podcasts, live streams, and conversations that show just how deeply connected fans feel to his legacy. Through all this noise, one thing remains strikingly clear. The silence from Curry continues to amplify the mystery. His calm, measured demeanor has always been part of his charm, but in moments like this it becomes a power of its own. Without saying a single definitive word, he has allowed the basketball world to drift into suspense, to imagine alternate futures, to wonder whether 2026 will mark a turning point unlike anything the Warriors have ever faced. Whether he stays or leaves, the emotional journey leading up to that decision has already become captivating enough to fuel endless speculation, leaving fans everywhere holding their breath for whatever comes next. The third wave of whispers surrounding Stephen Curry's potential exit from the Warriors in 2026 has taken on a strangely cinematic tone, almost as if the entire league is holding its breath through a slow-building plot twist. Insiders who once dismissed the rumors as idle chatter are now speaking with an unusual mixture of caution and intrigue, hinting that behind-the-scenes conversations have begun shifting in subtle but meaningful ways. People close to Curry describe him as someone who has been quietly observing everything around him, weighing the emotional cost of change against the pull of new possibilities. This has led many to speculate that he might be embracing the idea of rewriting his legacy in a way that surprises even longtime followers of his journey. The thought of Curry stepping onto a different court, surrounded by unfamiliar colors and a new city's energy, has fueled passionate debates across countless platforms, creating an atmosphere of suspense that grows heavier by the day. What has intensified the drama is the way rival franchises have begun behaving, almost as if they can sense a crack in the once unbreakable bond between Curry and the Warriors. Representatives from multiple teams have reportedly been increasing their presence at league events, trying to read Curry's body language, searching for even the smallest sign that he might be open to conversations in the near future. It is all unofficial, of course. No meetings, no proposals, nothing that can be traced or confirmed. Yet the undercurrent of ambition is unmistakable. Teams that once viewed Curry as permanently locked to the Warriors are now crafting theoretical scenarios that imagine him as the piece that could transform their long-term ambitions. Even though none of this is spoken publicly, the private enthusiasm is beginning to leak into the wider basketball community, feeding a rumor cycle that feels more intense with each passing whisper. Meanwhile, fans have journeyed through an emotional roller coaster of hope, anxiety, and disbelief. Supporters who once brushed off the idea of Curry ever leaving are now posting long, heartfelt reflections, wondering what his departure could mean not just for the franchise, but for the soul of the sport. Some are already preparing themselves for the possibility, trying to understand what might push a player so deeply tied to a city and a culture to consider a new chapter. Others remain fiercely loyal to the belief that Curry's story is too intertwined with the Warriors to ever fully separate. The community has become a kaleidoscope of theories, emotions, and interpretations, reflecting a kind of collective uncertainty that shows just how deeply his presence has shaped their experience of basketball. Every small moment, from a facial expression during an interview to a casual social media post, becomes a clue to decode, a potential sign of what lies ahead. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Inside the Warriors facility, the atmosphere has shifted into a blend of professionalism and quiet concern. Coaches, staff members, and executives all carry themselves with practiced composure. But those who have spent years reading the emotional temperature of organizations say there is a subtle awareness lingering in the air. Nothing is spoken directly, yet everyone seems to understand that the foundation of the franchise could be approaching a crossroads. They continue to support Curry wholeheartedly, offering him space, respect, and the freedom to explore his thoughts without pressure. But behind the scenes, strategic minds are preparing for every outcome, mapping out possibilities in case the unthinkable becomes reality. No one wants to imagine the team without him, yet everyone knows that legends sometimes follow deeply personal paths that extend far beyond basketball strategy. Analysts have embraced this scenario with a dramatic flair that borders on theatrical, turning every conversation into its own saga. They discuss potential future destinations, personality fit, coaching styles, roster structures, and the emotional narratives that might attract Curry to new environments. Even though none of this is confirmed or documented, the speculative storytelling has taken on a life of its own, pushing the rumor mill into overdrive. Some analysts insist that Curry's quiet demeanor is a sign that he is nearing a pivotal decision. Others argue that silence is simply his preferred way of conducting introspection, and that reading too much into it is a mistake. Yet regardless of their different interpretations, they all agree on one thing. The possibility of Curry making a monumental move feels more real now than ever before. And through it all, the heart of the matter remains untouched by any official word. Curry has not spoken in a way that confirms or denies the growing storm, leaving fans, analysts, and insiders suspended in a cloud of uncertainty that becomes more compelling with every passing moment. His stillness has become its own narrative, a quiet force shaping the emotional climate of the league. People believe that when he finally speaks, it will reshape the landscape instantly, whether he chooses to stay with the Warriors or take a bold step into unknown territory. Until that moment arrives, the whispers will continue, the speculation will rise, and the basketball world will remain captivated by the possibility that 2026 may mark one of the most significant turning points the sport has ever witnessed. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.